Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be giving my review for WWE Saturday Night's Main Event and WWE Evolution, and giving the results for AEW All In. So I hope you sit tight, buckle in. We're in for an interesting one. As we start off with AEW All In results, we start off with the Ops, so that's Katsuyori Shibata, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Samoa Joe, successfully defending their trios titles against the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Gabe Kidd. MJF won the Men's Casino Gauntlet match for a future shot at the AEW World title. So now this next match for the TNT title was supposed to be Adam Cole versus Kyle Fletcher, but Adam Cole was not cleared to compete. I do not 100% know why. So instead, we get a fatal four-way match between Dustin Rhodes, Daniel Garcia, Kyle Fletcher, and Sammy Guevara. With biggest surprise of the night, Dustin Rhodes picking up the win. My man, Go Dust, is a triple champion right now. Wild. Next up, we got Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland beating the Young Bucks for the titles of EVPs. Athena won the Women's Casino Gauntlet match for a future shot at the AEW Women's title. The Hurt Syndicate, that's Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, defeated Jet Speed, that's Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. And the Patriarchy, that's Christian Cage and Nick Wayne, for the tag team titles. Timeless Toni Storm successfully defends her AEW Women's title against Mercedes Moné. Kazuchika Okada defeats Kenny Omega in a winner-takes-all match for both the AEW Continental and AEW International Championships, making it into the inaugural AEW Unified Champion. And the main event for All In, finally, Hangman Adam Page defeats Jon Moxley for the AEW World title in a Texas death match. So, yeah, that was All In. Let me know what you thought about All In. I'm sure a lot of people watch this show. So that is going to be that. So next up, we got Saturday night's main event. I will say I did watch these out of order. I did not watch Saturday night's main event on Saturday because I had an event I was invited to. So I decided to go to that. So instead, I watched this after Evolution. So I'm just going to have this here. And we start off with Drew McIntyre, who is being led to the ring by Logan Paul. Anyway, taking on Randy Orton, who is being led to the ring by Jelly Roll, who is a country/rap artist. I've never heard one of his songs, but it seems like he's going to be a regular on WWE TV for a little bit. So, anyway, this match it was fine. A lot of distractions by Logan Paul. Eventually, Jelly Roll does push Logan Paul to the floor. Randy Orton hits an RKO for the win. And as he's celebrating, Logan Paul gets in the ring, KO punch, Drew and Logan beat down on Orton. Then Jelly Roll gets in the ring. He pulls Logan Paul off of Randy Orton. He's checking on him. Jelly Roll with a KO punch to Logan. And then a big Claymore kick to Jelly Roll. to end that bit. Match itself was overall fine. And the segment seems to be setting up a bit of a nightmare scenario, with Jelly Roll wrestling a match in which, I don't know, maybe he's good, maybe he pulls off something, but good lord, I am not feeling positive about that one. We then go to Aldis and Pierce having a very heated discussion with Drew and Logan backstage. We then see a few legends, women in the crowd, along with some current, including Io Sky, Rhea Ripley. And then when it gets to Jade Cargill, Naomi attacks Jade from behind, dumps her to ringside. They brawl for a little bit. Officials come, break it up. Naomi goes after Jade. They're finally broken up. Then Nick Aldis grabs a microphone and says, "That's enough out of you two. I had a feeling you guys would jump the gun and not wait until Evolution. So let me introduce you to someone who's going to be unbiased as your special guest referee." Points to the ramp. Out comes Bianca Belair, which that's definitely very interesting. Definitely an interesting setup to Evolution. We then see Doug Dillinger, who is a former WCW security guard and would be lead Goldberg into the arena. We then see DDP in the crowd, who is sitting right behind the commentary desk, which I love it when stuff like that happens. We then get some Goldberg highlights from when he was in WCW at his peak. So that was definitely some nice highlights. We then go to our next matchup, in which, good lord, it's about time, as we got the United States title on the line, as Jimmy Uso challenges Solo Sikoa, who is being joined by JC Mateo, Tangaloa, and Tala Tonga, a.k.a. Jeff Cobb, Tangaloa, and Hikaleo. And it looks like they have their own name now. They're not, the Bloodline. They're the MFTs, which, I don't know, it's better, at least. Anyway, this match was, honestly, it was an interesting little TV match. A couple of times I thought Jimmy was going to pull out the win. But eventually, we had a couple of super kicks. Solo with the roll-up, and Tala Tonga holds Solo's feet in the ropes. And your winner, Solo Sikoa. Post-match, the MFTs attack Jimmy. Solo picks Jimmy up, hits a Samoan spike. And just after that, Jacob Fatu comes out and fights off Mateo and Tangaloa. He then has a little face-off with Tonga. They brawl for a little bit. Tonga with a little ridge. But Jacob, it's a big dive onto the entire MFTs. So, it looks like maybe SummerSlam will be getting that rematch for the United States title, which, okay. We then get highlights from Bill Goldberg's a couple of separate runs in WWE. The first one after his AOL Time Warner contract expired, which, you could definitely tell Vince McMahon had no idea how to use Bill Goldberg at that time. His initial comeback, which was a whole lot of fun, and his final match should have been his final match with Brock Lesnar. But then he kept coming back. And we got highlights of those, including him just burying the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Barking. Anyway. Enough! We then get a backstage interview with Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. With Randy a little disappointed and saying he should have never had Jelly Roll out there. But Jelly's like, nah, I'm a grown man. I can handle myself. But I'm pissed off. I want Logan Paul. And yeah, we got one word for you. SummerSlam. So the interviewer walks off. Randy's like, alright, I got a name for us. How about RK Roll? Which, honestly, funny name. So we'll get to that. Then we see the Steiner brothers in the house. Good to see them anywhere, at least. And then we get this next matchup of the evening as Seth Rollins takes on LA Knight. And Seth Rollins with a fake out lockup to start it off. Knight goes for a neck breaker, but that gets blocked. They block each other's moves pretty much the entire night. Seth eventually hits a buckle bomb, misses the stomp. Hits a super kick. Hits a senton. Then is on the outside, hits the goes for a moonsault. LA Knight rolls out of the way. Seth lands on his feet, but you can clearly see his knee buckle. So you see the ref, he's checking on Seth, who's sitting in the corner. Knight's kind of going up to him, but the ref pushes him back. Then the ringside doctor comes in, kind of talks to Seth for a minute. Seth stands up. LA Knight with a kick and a BFT for a win. And about that time, Seth Rollins gets help from other officials to the back. So it does seem like Seth Rollins is suffering a knee injury. I hope he heals up soon. That is definitely definitely a shame. Injuries are never fun, and hopefully he heals up soon. We then get a video recap of Goldberg challenging Gunther for Saturday night's main event. We then get a Evolution card rundown, and we'll get to that in 2 seconds. We then get the graphic of Randy Orton and Jelly Roll taking on Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul as it's made official for SummerSlam. And I gotta tell ya, I could be less interested in that match. But maybe they'll surprise us. Anyway, that brings us to the main event of main event, as it's Gunther defending his World Heavyweight title against Bill Goldberg. And I'm going to say this, I had some low expectations for this match, but it was definitely better than I expected. Was it a great technical spectacle? I did not mean to rhyme. Absolutely not. But Goldberg looked capable here. A lot of really good big-time moves. Eventually, Gunther gets Goldberg down in a knee bar. He takes off the knee brace Goldberg has, gives him a shot a couple of times. Big old chop. Then Gunther goes to the outside, finds Bill Goldberg's son, Gage. Gets in his face. Gage with a chop. It looked like Gage was about to jump the barricade, but security holds him back. Gunther gets back in the ring, eats a spear, hits a jackhammer. At that point, the new referee comes out, counts the 2. Gunther pretty much sits up like The Undertaker, locks in the sleeper hold, and Goldberg passes out. So your winner is Gunther. My only issue with this match, and it's maybe a small nitpick, but it's whatever. I would have liked to see Goldberg tap out. Like, you don't really want to put over how dangerous Gunther is. Tap out. The pass out just does nothing. We're not gonna. This was Goldberg's retirement match, and he looked good in the entire way. He should have tapped. Anyway, that's just my thing. Then ABC cuts to a commercial. It comes back, and there's a whole lot of old school WCW guys. And Goldberg gets a microphone, says, "It's clear I never lost in Atlanta. I apologize for me being subpar. I cannot thank you guys enough. It's been a wonderful run, and I couldn't have done it without you." Now, on YouTube, we got the full promo from Goldberg here. But on the broadcast, that was it. That was it. It got... The rest of the promo got cut off, and yeah, I'm going to be going with what we saw on TV, not what YouTube brought up. So, I'm going to end it there. I do feel bad for Goldberg there, that he didn't get to finish his thought, but I guess NBC is a little bit more strict with time. So that was Saturday night's main event. Overall, an entertaining show, but with the Seth injury and, well, honestly, the only thing that was really bad was the Seth injury. Goldberg match was palatable, and the rest of the show was fun, although a little bit rushed. So, yeah, entertaining bout. Nothing really to go out of your way and see. And that's the exact opposite of WWE Evolution. This show was great. Although it did start off with Stephanie McMahon joining commentary. And of course, WWE has to do its revisionist history, saying, "Oh, it was Stephanie that started the women's evolution." No. It really wasn't. Because if you remember, after Stephanie had that talk with the women's roster, introduced Becky, Charlotte, and Sasha Banks, they were still having like 30-second matches. It wasn't until like at least a year later that the women's division was taken more seriously. And of course, getting rid of that god-awful Divas title. Anyway, first matchup of the evening, we got a triple threat match for the Women's Intercontinental title, as Becky Lynch defends against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. And this match was honestly really, really good. It pretty much started in second gear, which was crazy to think about. And they just beat each other down. They countered each other's finish a couple of times, including out of a disarmer, Lyra hitting a crazy tornado DDT. Becky hitting a manhandle slam, but only getting a 2. Really good back and forth. A crazy sidewalk slam from Bayley. Bayley hitting the belly to belly for only a 2 count. She attempts the rose plant, but gets a roll up for a 2. Lyra attempts the Nightwing, but that gets blocked in a roll-up for 2. Lyra attempts an Enziguri, that misses. Bayley hits the Rose Plant, gets a 1 because Becky grabs Bayley, rolls her up for the 3 count, and for the steal of the retention. Yeah, this match was absolutely great. I'm definitely wondering what we see from any of these women for SummerSlam. Should definitely be a fun one. We then get a hype video for Jacy Jayne versus Jordynne Grace, which is our next match, as Jacy Jayne defends her women's title against Jordynne Grace. You have Jacy Jayne's stable ringside for her. Sitting as backup for Grace is, I forget her NXT name, it's really generic, but it's Mariah May from AEW, which is honestly nuts. And this was a very interesting match, as Grace had advantage pretty much throughout the match. Eventually, Jacy Jayne fights through, even blocking a Juggernaut driver. Eats a World's Strongest Slam, moves out of the way of a Vader Bomb. Jayne with a couple beat boots, a neck breaker, only for a 2. Grace misses on a cannonball. Jayne with a roll up for a 2 count. Then Jacy Jayne turns to her crew, that includes Fallon Henley, who I don't think I've ever seen wrestle. She grabs the NXT Women's title, slides it into the ring to Jayne, who goes for a belt shot, but it gets caught by the ref, who tosses it to the outside. Grace with a roll-up, only for a 2. And then she fights off Henley. Then we see Nyx, who is the other member of Jacy Jayne's team, picks up the belt, looks at it for a second, but then May comes in, takes her out, picks up the belt. And as that's happening, Jordynne Grace attempts the Juggernaut driver. That gets blocked. Jayne pushes Grace into the ropes. May with a belt shot. Jacy Jayne with the Rolling Encore, which is a great name for a finish, to win and retain her title. Monroe, that's her ring name, Mariah May, rolls into the ring with the title and hands it to Jacy Jayne, because if you remember, she's the next number 1 contender. Although Masha Slamovich is challenging for it at Slammiversary. So there's definitely some layers here. Definitely a good match. Interesting heel turn, I guess. We'll see where that goes. Although I probably won't, because I don't really watch NXT. But next up, we had a fatal 4-way for the women's tag team titles. We got the Kabuki Warriors, so that's Asuka and Kairi Sane. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, who has actually been an interesting story, because we're seeing Charlotte Flair kind of relax a little bit. We got Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez of the Judgment Day. And we got Soruka and Zarya from NXT. And this match was kind of a cluster. A lot of moves being done, but it felt hollow in a way. Although with Bliss and Charlotte, they definitely felt like the best team. A lot of back and forth. Soruka pulling out the big stuff, including a handspring leg stand, and then hits a soul snatcher, which is a middle rope cutter, which is crazy. Bliss attempts the Abigail DDT. That gets blocked. Backbreaker from Raquel. A spear misses Bliss, hits Soluruka. Raquel then tags in. Roxanne with Pop Rocks. Raquel then powerbombs Zarya to the outside. Roxanne with a big dive to take them all out. Then Raquel with the Tejana bomb to pick up the win and retain the tag team titles. So, fun matchup. Really kind of pointless, though. I'm going to say this. It's going to make a couple of people a little angry. The women's tag team titles don't really mean anything, really. Holding them and winning them are just feel kind of pointless without a division. Anyway, that's my rant for the moment. Next up, we get a Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus hype video. And we go to our next match for the women's WWE title as Tiffany Stratton defends against Trish Stratus. And this kind of started off a little awkwardly with Tiffany attempting a weird crossface. Trish attempting a weird crossface, but Tiffany fighting out. Really good back and forth. Tiffany with a Thez press. Don't really see Thez presses anymore. Hitting a DDT for a 2 count. Hitting the back handspring elbow into a backbreaker for a 2 count. Trish attempts a roll up, but Tiffany rolls through, hitting a crazy drop kick into a swanton bomb for a 2 count. She goes for the PME, prettiest moonsault ever, but that gets blocked. Trish attempts a bulldog, that gets blocked. Tiffany with a Rana off the top. Trish with a chick kick for a 2 count. Goes for Stratisfaction, that gets blocked. Tiffany with a rolling senton. Tiffany attempts the PME, that gets blocked. Into the Stratisfaction for a 2 count. Trish attempts the moonsault, that gets blocked. Pretty much intercepted with a big elbow. Tiffany with an Alabama slam into the prettiest moonsault ever to pick up the win and retain her title. I'm going to say this, Trish has never lost it. I would be honestly hyped if she came back and challenged again at some point. Maybe not right at the moment, but maybe another day. Because that was a really, really good matchup. Next up, we get a Jade Cargill versus Naomi hype video, which was awesome. We then get to a no-holds-barred match between Jade Cargill and Naomi, with the special guest referee being Bianca Belair. Right off the bat, Naomi goes for a Money in the Bank case shot. That whiffs. Jade throws her into the barricade, into the ring steps. I don't know where Naomi gets a kendo stick and goes for a stick shot. That whiffs. Jade with a suplex. Jade then sets up a table. Naomi throws her into the ring post. Naomi gets another kendo stick and hits her shots. Then Naomi with a couple of chairs, sliding them in, including a trash can. Jade with a big spear, throws him back in. Jade then grabs a toolbox. So like one of those you see on like job sites. Tosses him into the ring. Jade with a stomp. Sets up a chair in the corner. No, sets up a chair unfolded in the middle of the ring. Hits a bulldog onto the chair, which that looked gnarly. That only gets a 2 count. Naomi then goes over to the toolbox, grabs a chain, which is very interesting, and starts choking Jade with it. Jade powers out. Jade then wraps the chain around her hand, hits a big old bell ringer shot. Jade then, out of nowhere, grabs a camera from one of the cameramen sitting ringside and hits Naomi with it. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Or, I'll say this, I have seen it before, but usually it's in the perspective of the camera. So, seeing it not at that perspective is very interesting. Jade then puts the trash can over Naomi's head. Jade with a big old kick. Jade then picks up the toolbox as a whole, goes for an attack. Naomi ducks it, gets her out onto the apron, slams her on the apron, throws her into the announce table, into a big drop kick. Naomi then gets a table, sets it up in the ring, gets Jade back in, big old enziguri. Naomi then lays Jade on the table. No. Naomi then uses the table leg to kind of like jam it in Jade's eye, which that looked rough. Naomi then with an X Factor into a set-up chair, hitting a couple of shots, stomps. She then flips the table over, legs down, sets Jade on it, then sets up a chair on top of Jade, goes up for, I was assuming, the split-legged moonsault, but Jade gets up, throws the chair at Naomi's back. Jade then gets up to where Naomi is, hitting a super Jaded through the table to pick up the win. That was absolutely nutso. I'm kind of surprised Jade won, although she's getting a title shot at SummerSlam. So I guess she needed the win a little bit more. We then get a Raw card rundown in which it's revealed we are having a gauntlet match to see who faces Gunther at SummerSlam. So that should be fun. We then get the Women's Battle Royal to determine who gets a title shot at Clash in Paris. So that is a little bit of a ways off. Our participants, we got Nikki Bella, Chelsea Green, Alba Fire, Piper Niven, Natalya, Maxine Dupree, Jada Parker, Lash Legend, Lola Vice, Zelina Vega, who looks like she turned heel, Milani Jordan, Tatum Paxley, Izzy Dame, B-Fab, Michin, Ivy Nile, Candice LeRae, Nia Jax, Stephanie Vaquer, and Julia. Paxley and Izzy Dame pretty much eliminated immediately. Then Kalani Jordan gets knocked over the top rope, but she ends up on the announcer's table. So while everyone in the ring is trying to fight off people and go for eliminations, Jordan pulls a Kofi Kingston and does a handstand back into the ring, which that was impressive. Ivy Nile gets eliminated by Julia. Julia and Vaquer then have a stare down and just start wailing on each other. Vaquer attempts the Devil's Kiss, but that gets blocked. Maxine Dupree with a caterpillar. Then she goes up to Natalya, says, "You do it. Your turn." She attempts it, but it definitely wasn't the best. Natalya eventually does get eliminated. as does Maxine Dupree. Candice LeRae getting accidentally hit by Nia. That was interesting. Parker eventually gets eliminated, as does Kalani Jordan. Nia Jax gets knocked down by a big old kick by Vaquer. She rolls under the middle rope. Zelina Vega attempts a code red. That gets blocked. Attempts a suplex. That gets blocked as well. Gets tossed into the ring post. Julia gets eliminated, which, that was interesting. Eventually, as do B-Fab and Mi Jin. Piper Niven with an impressive powerbomb. Zelina Vega then got military pressed over the top rope and eliminated. Lola Vice and Piper Niven eventually gets eliminated. Then we finally see it, the Devil's Kiss by Stephanie Vaquer, but it kind of gets interrupted by Chelsea Green with a cutter. Eventually Green does get eliminated. Big old axe kick by Lash Legend, which eliminates Nikki Bella, which I was so surprised by. Eventually, everyone teams up on Nia Jax, who gets eliminated officially. Vaquer with a super kick and a 619, which haven't seen that in a while. She attempts the crossbody. That gets caught by Lash Legend. Attempts a powerbomb over the top rope. That gets blocked. With a run over the top. And then Vaquer with some Devil's Kiss on the apron, which eliminates Lash Legend. And your winner, moving on to Clash in Paris, Stephanie Vaquer. And then we get an interview by Stephanie McMahon, which a couple of Stephanies in the ring, with them speaking Spanish to each other, in which I am going to give Stephanie McMahon credit for knowing a little Spanish, making Vaquer a little comfortable. Eventually, Vaquer does switch to English, saying, "It is difficult for me. English isn't my first language, but wrestling is my first language. I want to say thank you to every woman in the crowd and in the back that paved the way before me. And for this reason, we can make history. And tonight, Evolution is a big show, biggest show in my career. I will work hard, and you will remember my name forever." In which, that was honestly kind of cool. I love the vibe Stephanie Vaquer gives out. And that promo was just what she needed to, I think, make it to that next level. We then get a little Clash in Paris hype video showing, some monuments over in France. In which, initially, I thought this was like a replay of the old promo from the Olympics last year. But it did turn into WWE. We then get a hype video for Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky. And that leads us to our main event for the World Women's title, as Rhea Ripley challenges Io Sky. And at first, starts out a little slowly, a little feeling out. Eventually, it does get a little crazy. Couple of moonsaults by Io. Gets him back in, hitting a Rana for a roll-up for a 2. Io locking in a pretty tight crossface, but Rhea powers out. Rhea with a toe hold, and then a Rana. Io attempts a kick that gets caught with a big old knee. And then Rhea tosses Io off the apron, tosses her into the barricade, into the ring steps, gets her back in, hitting a big old suplex for a 2 count. Io then with a hair pull and into a roll up for a 2. Io with a crazy drop kick for a 2 count. Rhea with an abdominal stretch, which I don't think I've seen her pull that out. But Io fights out, hitting a DDT. Io with a roll through stomp maneuver, which that always gets me. Io with a suplex, Rhea rolls out of the ring. Io with a big old dive, gets her back in. Hits the bullet train attack for a 2. Io attempts the over the moonsault, but Rhea gets her knees up. Rhea attempts a superplex, that gets blocked. Io attempts a crossbody, that misses. Rhea then trips Io off the top rope. Io attempts an implant buster, but that gets blocked. Rhea with a bunch of uppercuts. Hitting a face buster. Goes for a DDT, that gets blocked. Into a Rana for a 2 count. Io once again attempts an over the moonsault, but that gets blocked. Rhea with a razor's edge into a powerbomb for a 2 count. She goes for the riptide, but Io scrambles onto Rhea's back, locking in a sleeper, but Rhea powers out. Rhea with a superplex attempt, but that gets blocked. Io attempts a dropkick. Rhea moves, so it hits the referee. Rhea with a headbutt hits the riptide, but there's no ref to count. Rhea then checks on the ref on the outside, hitting another razor's edge, and hitting a big old boot over the barricade into the crowd. They brawl a bit into the crowd until they hit a stack of equipment boxes. Rhea attempts a powerbomb off the box, that gets blocked. Io with some strikes, which causes Rhea to fall off the boxes. Io with a big old crossbody off the boxes. Eventually they do fight back ringside. Get back in the ring. Io with a sunset flip bomb attempt, but that gets blocked into an Rhea powerbomb. Io with an over the moonsault, only to get 2. She attempts it again, but Rhea rolls to the outside. Io follows with some strikes, tossing Rhea into the ring post. Then Io with a Spanish fly off the top rope. So both women are laying down prone in the ring. Who comes out? It's Miss Money in the Bank, Naomi. She goes to ringside, presents it to the case to the referee. Bell rings, making it a triple threat for an official cash-in. Case shot to Io. Gets in the ring, tosses Rhea into the ring post. Then a split-legged moonsault to Io for your winner and new women's world champion, Naomi. And I'm going to say this, for a little bit of a lackluster build to this pay-per-view, this pay-per-view over-freaking-delivered. This was a great show to round out an amazing weekend of wrestling. I'm going to say this, you should go and check out the entire show. If you have, a couple hours to waste, it's definitely a good waste. So, that'll do it from me. I hope you all enjoyed. Coming Friday is going to be a review for Monday Night Raw and AEW Dynamite. So, for this week, Power is just going to be a recap show. I think they're getting ready for their move to Roku. So, hopefully you stick with that. And then Monday is probably going to be SmackDown and Collision review. So hopefully you'll come check those out. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.